going to look at frequency tables now. So the first question we've got is, the table shows information about the number of goals a team scored in 40 games. We're asked to first of all find the median number of goals scored. Now the median is the middle. When we're finding the median from a frequency table, we need to add an extra column. And that extra column is what we call cumulative frequency. And that means we're going to look at the frequency, and we're going to keep adding the next frequency and adding the next frequency until we get cumulative total. So if I've got 6, I'm then going to add the 13. So 6 add 13 for 19. I'm then going to add the 10 for 29. Then I'm going to add the 11 for 40. Okay, what this is basically saying is that 6 times the team scored no points. If I was going to write this out the long way, I would actually be able to say, right, okay, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's what this part of the table is actually representing. 13 times the team scored 1 point. 10 times the team scored 2 points. 11 times the team scored 3 points. If I was to write this out the long way, there'd be lots of pieces of data flying about the page. Well, 40 pieces of data. So it's a nice way of keeping the data ordered by writing it in this table. Now, when we come to find the middle or the median, it is actually n plus 1 divided by 2, n being the frequency, the total frequency. So we've got 40 plus 1 divided by 2. Use your calculator. It's 20.5. Now that isn't actually the median, because that does not make sense, does it? The median's number of goals scored cannot be 20.5 because the options are either 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 or more. Well, I suppose it could be under this 4 or more, but that didn't happen at all. Happened no times. So this is actually telling me the piece of data which is going to be the median score. This is pieces of data 1 to 6. This is pieces of data 7 to 19. This is pieces of data 20 to 29. And this part of the table is pieces of data 30 to 40. So we need to find where 20.5 would fit in. Well, it's not going to be here. It only goes up to data piece 6. It's not going to be here. 19's not big enough. So it's actually going to fall in this row here, the piece of data 20 to 29. Okay, read across the table then, and it's going to tell you that your median points scored was 2. So your answer there was 2. The second part of the question asks to write down the mode. Mode means most. It might also be phrased as the modal score. So modal means most. Here we're going to look at the frequency. We're going to find the highest frequency. So the biggest frequency is 13. Your answer is not 13. You do have to look left in the table, and it points the way. 1 point was the thing that happened the most. We then need to work out the total number of goals the team scored in all 40 games. This is where we need to multiply what's going on the table. Well, 0 times 6. Please don't write 6, guys. You can multiply nothing by anything you want, but you're still going to get nothing. 1 times 13 is 13. 2 times 10 for 20. 3 times 11 for 33. 4 or more, it didn't happen, so we don't need to worry about that one. Then we need to make sure that we add all of these up together. Please use your calculator for this. It's a calculator paper. The amount of times that I see students adding it up mentally, and there's sometimes 1 or 2 out, and then they don't score the marks. It happens quite often, so please make sure that you use your calculator to add all of those up together. And in this particular question, we are looking for an answer of 66 goals, or points, as the table said. Okay, moving on then to another question about frequency tables. We've got the table shows information about the number of goals a team scored in some games. And this time we want to work out the mean number of goals the team scored per game. So we are going to have to add another column onto our frequency table. But this time, instead of cumulative frequency, we're going to add our f of x column. So I'm just going to multiply all of these things together to get what goes in this column down here. So remember, 0 times 6 is going to be 0. 1 times 10 is 10. 2 times 9 for 18. 3 times 8 for 24. And 4 times 2 for 8. Now what I've got to do is I've got to, oh, rubbishly drawn there, make sure that I've got some total boxes going on as well. I want the total frequency, so adding all of these up, how many times it happened all together. That comes to 35. Please again use your calculator, and then adding all of these up together comes to 60. Now to find the mean, we add all of the things up together and divide by how many there are, and it's no different really when we're working with frequency tables. But this time it's the f of x divided by the total frequency. So it's always this column divided by this column. 60 divided by 35 is going to give me the mean, and in this case it's 1.71428 5714. Please write down your whole calculator display just in case your examiner would like to see that. The question hasn't actually asked me to write it in a particular sort of amount of decimal places, so I could just leave it like that if I wanted to. So my mean 1.714, all of these numbers. Have a double check that that makes sense. So coming back up to our table, well, our points are going to range from 0 up to 4, so 1.7 seems to be a realistic answer for the question.